Alrighty.
All right. Thank you for getting us lively. So, hi everyone. I welcome you all to Meshery's development meeting. Today is October 2nd, and we are back with the dev call. We'll be talking about all the issues and PRs that you have been working on. And so I'll be quickly sharing this docs link that you all can see on your screen. You can mark your agenda. You can mark your attendance by writing your name in the attendees list, and can also mention any agenda items that you have got. Before we get started with topics and announcement, let's first follow our tradition, and that is if you are joining this specific call for the very first time, you can unmute yourself and give your quick intro. So I'll be taking a look at the participants list. So Moise, is it the first time that you're joining this call? If yes, do you mind giving your intro?
Hello everyone. So I'm Almoiz Khan. So yes, it is my first time, and I'm looking forward to working. And I'm just exploring what Meshery is, and let's talk about after the session.
Awesome, Moise. I also see one item from you, so we'll be sure to discuss that. Thanks a lot for your intro.
So
Next up,
yeah, that's just basic stuff. So I was just getting started. So basic stuff.
that's fantastic. So you introducing yourself with one item already on your plate. So that's really awesome, Moise. Once again, welcome to the call. Next up, we have Renato with us. So do you mind going next and giving your
Yeah, thank you. I'm from Brazil. I'm a developer. I'm working as a solution engineer as a vendor for one of the FANG companies. And I'm really excited to be here to contribute. I've just joined the community and I want to get to know everyone, every topic that is being worked on, and proceed to contribute as much as possible.
Hey, thank you for your intro and thank you for joining the call. So we'll call your name when we'll have some items for you that you potentially can work on and help us with. Thanks a lot for your intro. And looks like that is it for the newcomers today. If I missed anyone, make sure you give your intro in the chat. And with that, let's get started. And so before we start with the general items, let me make this announcement, and that is for our newest meshmate. So let's all welcome our new meshmate, Yash Sharma. So meshmates are seasoned contributors in the community that who take newcomers as their mentee, connect with them one-on-one, guide them to be a successful contributor. So if you want to learn more about it, this link will let you know about all. I'll be sharing this link in chat. Also, if you want to connect with meshmates, if you know how that process is, you can join our newcomers meeting tomorrow. So I'll be also dropping community calendar link that you can find in chat. So if you want to get an overview on the community projects and how you can pair up with meshmates and other contributors, you can for sure you can join the newcomers meeting. All right. With that, our first item is from Matthew on Messery CTL review. So Matthew, are you all up to share?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so yeah, this is just a pull request related to Meshery CTL. Let me just open the pull request. So it's to rename the pattern command to design. I have already done some review commands which have been fixed, but there are a lot of files that have been changed, so if another one could also have a look, perhaps I've missed something, just to validate that everything is okay. And if this is, if it will let us continue, go ahead and just merge this in the repo. So
Yeah,
that's it.
Matthew, can you see why the build checks are failing?
I think that the failure it's only that the branch is not up to date with master.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
since
Sounds
the last time the pull request was done.
okay. So I'll review this and then I'll merge it.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Matthew. Also, I would like to point out this. So we have a failing DCO check. Do you mind signing off your commit?
Yeah, as it turns out, it's actually Alpha x86. As it turns out, it's not Matthew's commit that's not signed off. It's
Yes, I just want to go ahead with that pull request, so
yeah, makes sense.
I
Yeah,
can talk to him.
Thanks.
yeah. No, thanks for pointing it out, Rebecca. I'll deal with that DCO challenge.
Thank you, Matthew and Lee. Next up, we had this item from Ijay, but I got a note that she won't be joining, so we'll be skipping this item for now. Looks like Moise, you are up next, so you can go ahead and share your screen, walk us through all the changes that you have done.
Yes, sure. Give me a moment. Yes, sir. Is it visible now?
Yeah, but just a heads up for the future presenters, do not ask whether or not your screen is visible or whether or not you are audible. If not, we'll let you know. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So my PR was simple, moving the legal file to the policies region, and I did it, and some checks were filled. I think the build is also filling there. This one is filling, and I actually wanted some. First time I did not know how to contribute this there. So maybe if you can provide some insight why this test is failing, I think.
Okay, great. Moise, how do we use everyone's time effectively? Is what you did was took a file, moved it from one folder to the next. Not sure if that's worth like an issue being up. Like the issue is that the request is to make sure that things work after you move it, and that's the actual challenge. And then you're coming back asking for Rude Rocks. Do you think you might be able to
All
spare
right,
some time
maybe
to help
some.
Moise?
Yeah, sure. Maybe some routing problems arise after moving it, and I'll look into it, and we'll get
Oh
back
yeah,
on this.
yeah. Moise, Rude Rocks is going to help you, so he'll ping you now. Good. Hey, thanks for picking this up, Moise. What else do you have to present? What else do you have to talk about Regal?
So that was it. I will try to figure out what it is, and I will try to get back to you.
Okay. Did you get a chance to learn anything while you did it?
Yeah, sure. So this is
Great.
something about Meshery, and
Oh yeah. What did you
I'm
learn?
just getting started. Okay, so the basic interface, like what Meshery does with the cloud, the management, the mesh management, simple things. Means it.
Nice. Yeah, great. Anything specific to Regal though? Or Regal, I guess. The
Uh,
file that
Not for
you.
sure. So that's why I wanted some help. So that I will try making it.
Okay.
I will try rebuilding it and we'll see what problem was. Okay.
Hey, thank you, Moise. And later today, I'll also be making some call for volunteers on Good First Hacktoberfest items. So make sure you also take a look at that.
Yeah,
Thank you
sure.
for your updates, Moise.
Thank you.
Next up, Pranjal, you have this update. So do you mind going next?
Yes, no problem, Vihar. Sorry. Do I have to
You are not
share
audible,
my
Pranjal. I'm
screen?
afraid that we cannot hear you.
Hello,
Your voice
am
is
I
breaking.
audible?
Yeah, please go ahead. You there, Pranjal?
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Vivek, it's bad internet. Let me just reconnect.
Yeah, okay. So I'll be sharing your PR's link in chat.
Can I get 2 minutes to reconnect?
Yep,
Okay.
I'll be sharing link, and we'll also share your PR's link in the chat so others can take a look. So it looks like this is the change. And for anyone interested, you will find this PR's link in chat. So we'll wait for 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, hey, on this one, so there's a number of commands in Meshery CTL. As a matter of fact, Matthew, if you have the command tracker spreadsheet handy, people might be interested to see a link to like how those commands are organized and kind of what flags they have, what the status of those commands are. One of the things that we've struggled with in the project is to ensure that there's consistency of response or consistency of notification given to users of Meshery CTL. The CLI it's a client, this Meshery CTL, it's a CLI. It's a client of Meshery server. It's a client of the REST API. And you guys can go flame me on Twitter if you want to. That the CLI is not built intentionally for programmatic interaction. It is not an API. It is not what it is designed for specifically. It's designed for human interaction. If you want something to programmatically interact, you go use an API. The CLI is not an API. It can be used for that. We make sure that all of the commands can be run silently or can be run in a scripted mode. So anytime that there's a prompt, we'll let you override that programmatically. So you can script the CLI, and we ensure that. But the foremost use case of the CLI is for humans to touch their keyboard and interact with the CLI. So it's a client just like Meshery UI, the web-based interface, is a client of Meshery server. So Meshery UI, the web-based interface, it's a client of Meshery server. Meshery server has a REST API and a GraphQL API. The web-based client, Meshery UI, uses both the REST API and the GraphQL API, whereas Meshery CTL only uses the REST API. Why am I covering this? It's to primarily reinforce the idea that this Meshery CTL, it's a user experience. That's what it is. It's a UX. It's a client. And what does it have to do with this PR? Well, this PR is putting forth a message back to the user. In this case, it's saying, hey, you executed a command and Meshery CTL cannot talk to Meshery server. And it gives a response and it tries to help. There might be a better response than this. In part, part of it is my suggestion. And I think Matthew might have a better one, or irrespective of what the specific thing is that we say back to the user. I mean, it's important, but irrespective of what it is, what's more important is that it is consistent. We consistently say the same thing back. Great UX is built on consistency, even if it's not the highest quality is the wrong word, even if it isn't the best message in this case. But being consistent and having a consistent like response if you need to authenticate or if Meshery server isn't available, like very consistent. Part of the issue that surrounds this particular error message is that and this error message is in context, I think, of a system check. So this healthcheck.go is the file here. Anytime that Meshery CTL needs to interact with Meshery server, whether it needs to authenticate to the server or not, it might not be able to reach it. Like Meshery server may not be available. The server might be down. You might be pointing to a different server because Meshery CTL is capable of interacting with any number of different Meshery servers. So that's two reasons why a command might fail. The server might be off. You might have multiple servers. You might be accidentally using a different context. Just like kubectl has contexts, so does Meshery CTL. What's another reason? Well, it might be up, but you are requesting to invoke, you're trying to invoke a command that requires authentication, that requires an active session, because Meshery is a powerful management system. And if all of its APIs are just exposed without authentication, that's a pretty dangerous place to be. So some of the, or many of the APIs require authentication. Those are three reasons why you might not be able to, why a command might fail. The first two reasons should have the same response. Meshery server is unavailable. It might be that your Wi-Fi just went down. So the server's there, you're pointed to the right one, but the network's broken. So there's four reasons now. Three of them are the same thing, and they should have the same response. We're not sure. Maybe you turned off your Ethernet. Maybe your mom just cut your Ethernet cable because you've been gaming too much, whatever the thing is. Like, those are three responses. Beyond that, if we can talk to Meshery server and it requires authentication, but your token is invalid or you don't have a token, that's a different response. But irrespective, I'm just going to harangue all of you with like the idea that there should be just a standard set of responses for common scenarios. We invest into those responses, invest into the error code framework that we have here, the Meshkit, the Meshkit error code framework. It suggests probable causes as to why you would be getting an error. And at the same time, it also suggests remediations that you might try, like go do the dishes so that your mom reconnects your Ethernet, or turn your Wi-Fi back on, or whatever the resolution is, right? So by the way, when this error right here, and Matthew may know better than me, but like errors.new, I think that is calling Meshery's custom error code framework, the framework that includes all these probable causes and suggested remediations. Very critical that we're always using that framework. Something that's really cool. Vivek, you might be able to share this. It's worth the interruption for the moment. Those of you that have been out to Meshery docs, you might have noticed that there's a reference area, a reference section, various API references, and there's the CLI reference. So if you want to look at the published version of all of the commands, great. But also, if you ever run into an error, especially if you've been given a code for what that error is, like error 1000 or something. Every single component in the Meshery ecosystem, if you will, has specific monikers assigned, specific codes with a specific moniker. Each of them are supposed to have like a probable cause, suggested remediation, and to really help people figure out the issues. Some of them are better done than others. Some of these that we're clicking on don't have suggested remediation. Where does that leave the user? It leaves them searching the discussion forum, probably, for others that might have had this and used it out here. No one has posted a topic on this, though. So anyway, good. I hope that I just like listening to myself talk. So I just, that wasn't for any of your benefit. That was just for me, just to, yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate that Matthew is pushing to get that other PR, the rename from patterns to design, to get it done. It's been many months, and it's just a name change. So he's doing the right thing. But yeah,
Hello,
thanks. Yeah. Go
am I
ahead.
audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to ask, do I have to fetch the error from the center file where all the errors are written, or is the way I've done it now is fine? Like just creating a new error in the file itself, health check file.
So, Pranjal, there's a link in chat on how to write meshkit compatible errors. So, it's the docs link, so you can refer to that and you can get the idea of how to write those errors and how to invoke them.
Okay, I'll do it that way then.
Yeah. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask on the discussion forum so that we can resolve it and in future everyone can get benefit from it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Slok and Pranjal. So next up, we have this update from Emily about relationship added tags example. But looks like we are missing them on the call. So I'll be sharing this PR's link in chat in case you would want to take a look. And then we have this update from Kevin. So I'll take a look if we have Kevin on call.
Yes,
Yep.
hi everyone. Can I share
Hi,
the
please
screen,
go ahead.
please?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I hope the screen is visible.
Huh. Hey, Vivek, do you feel like repeating yourself?
Yeah, so please do not ask whether or not your screen is visible. If it is not the case, we will all let you know, Kevin. So please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so this issue is about to generating the models via referencing the connection definition. So currently we are generating the model only using the command Meshery CTL registry generate. And now what we want is basically to generate from the connection definition. So the first question that comes in mind is what should the connection definition would look like. So in my opinion, I have like created this connection.json file which can contains the different uh, data or details of the model. For example, model name GitHub, then source URL, CRD's link basically. uh, so I want to represent this JSON and wants to confirm that is it looking fine or some extra changes will needed. And if I will talk about the code which I have written, although it not in the stage where I can mark this PR for the review, but I would like to call the maintainers to take look at it. So currently I have written the code. So in the code, basically in pre-run function, I was generating all the log files. Then in run function, all the JSON data I'm assigning to this structure, and then all that pre-written function to generate the model. I am doing that, and at the end was writing that in the server mesh model, all the component that has been generated. I already have run the command to directly show you, and this is how it looks like. In my opinion, right now this log needs to be improved, but yeah, this is what I have created. And right now, the missing thing is that in components, the capabilities are null, and I am not sure why it is null. I will figure it out, and we'll update in the next push. But till now, I would like to get review from you guys.
Yeah, Kevin, so thank you for that. Means you did the right job of getting that particular template file. But so that issue was already taken up by me. I think I was not assigned and Uzair created it. So I have a PR up for it that contains the UI as well as the CLI changes. So you can refer to my PR, and if you think there needs to be some sort of enhancement, you can always means commit under my PR. You'll need some permission, so please ping me. I'll give you the permission and you can start testing the PR. So the PR is up and you can just check it, start testing it, and if it requires some sort of enhancement, so you can please take it up and complete it if you could.
No issue. Can you share the PR link, please?
Yeah, it's in the chat if you could. I,
Okay,
tagged
okay.
you.
Thank,
Yeah.
okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Kevin.
Okay.
So thank you, Kevin and Shlok. So then we move on to the next item, and that is from Jerens. So Jerens, can you please
Yeah.
go?
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to ask if I could. Shlok, of the work that Kevin has done, granted I think his particular work is maybe duplicative and not necessary at this moment. Is there any possibility of that being dovetail, like how can we salvage that? Or like, is there, now that he knows that, or now that he's sharing that with others here, are there, are there other connection definitions that like, we don't have very many connection definitions. I don't know if we're in a position to create a number more of the, if he could go do a different one, or if maybe his learnings could be turned into, dovetailed into how to create a model itself, just a model with just components or something. But just, I figured I'd ask you, Shlok, is.
Yeah, so my PR is still incomplete. There needs it needs some enhancement in sense of logging the thing that is left from Kevin's PR, in sense of logging, as well as in sense of testing that whether each of the scenarios work or not. So Kevin, and yeah, so it needs some UI enhancements as well. Generate creating the create model. So yeah, he could take that up and complete it.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. You mean like there's a feature that's been created, but the tests aren't there, the logs aren't there. Okay. And like, anyway, I'm just kidding. But no, that sounds great. So like Kevin, I think that's an invitation to collaborate, like to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
I would have one request if everyone agrees. Like previously, I don't remember, but this happened that in the issue which I want to work, it was already worked by someone and it is not assigned. So if anyone is doing the work and creating the PR, so please do it assigned. So priorly I can or anyone can like understand that this someone is already working on it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's mostly on my part that I don't assign the issue to myself and just start working on it. So I'll keep in mind and I'll just start assigning myself. I'm really sorry.
Your screen. So currently, like I'm working with updating the docs for the cloud and Meshery. So for the canvas, I wonder like for the extension alone, I wonder like if I should put in the canvas doc or should I put in the Meshery docs for this release?
Yeah, probably for those two extensions, that provider, the remote provider layer 5 cloud, and for the extension canvas, if you're publishing release notes here for those two, that's wonderful. And they would probably stay here and not be published in the Meshery docs. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the cloud is already done. The update, I just need confirmation for the extension if I should update in the canvas doc instead here. So if this, I just need to map the PR. Or I need to make both on Meshery docs as well.
Jarens, do you mind? I might not be hearing you. Do you mind typing out that question in Slack? And that way I can just make sure I'm answering it like after the, yeah.
For
And
the second, I'm working with the screen splash. So basically, when you enter like Meshery or Mesmap, it will give the loading screen as the splash, and then it will end it as the Mesmap. So I did start with Abi and it's already there in the PR. And I think that's it from.
yeah, wait, yeah, present that one more time if you would. I don't know if everybody got it. Abid, do you want to help with the description maybe?
Basically, like I'm working with the loading screen. So when you enter like Mesmap for the first time, it will show the loading. And then after it's landed, and it will land it to the pages. So it's worked across the multiple pages. If you go to Mesmap or another page, it also will hit them instead of the white screen. So now it's already on the Meshery repo with it merged. Yeah, I think that's the update for me. Any feedback regarding this?
And for my part, I have two thoughts. One is that Ian Whitney, he might be interested in, he might have feedback on here. I think he's on his mobile, so he might not be able to give feedback very well right now, but it might be a point of interest to him. So the second one is, well, I guess I had three thoughts. So it's that what you've just done is improve the user experience. So if someone loads Meshery UI, if they're going, when they load it, this is really I guess my question is like, we will now show a splash screen, just a simple spinner or like waiting, loading, hold your horses, it's coming. Is that only, when will that display as people navigate in between each menu, each page, or only on initial load, or?
It's only on the initial load when there are no load page, so it will between you and the server. So it's initial load.
I got you. Second thought, and other people might have feedback, but just my last second thought is a request is, I think that so Meshery UI is capable of light and dark mode. And I'm pretty sure that we've got dark mode as the default. And if that's the case, I wonder if the splash screen, its background wouldn't follow suit, if it wouldn't also be the default, or if it either couldn't hook into the user's preference, and if it can't, then if it wouldn't be the default color.
Basically, we use like old MIUI and the Next.js packet, so it's like not supporting the MIUI in the server side. So the loading page is get rendered on the server side. So we need to upgrade to next 13 and the MIUI to be able to using like the theming on the loading screen. So basically, it's just HTML. It's just HTML and CSS.
Cool. Good. In that CSS, might we be able to set the background color of like the perfect? Okay.
We don't have access to the MIUI and the state because mostly it's done in the server rendering.
Like just inside the CSS, you can just like set the dark mode by default inside the CSS, not like actually hooking into the MUI theming, just like set the background and everything to dark, or maybe if it also hook into like the user, like the CSS theming, like the need to CSS theming, like user prefers dark or light. So you might do that, or just do the dark theming there directly, because you want to having access to MUI and the state. That should do.
We just can only like to preset up it whatever it's dark on white, because when we render it on the client, it will show like the white screen. So this is like pre-rendered on the server and send the rendered page to the client. So that's why we don't get the white screen.
So yeah, just like I'm saying, just use the dark theme there rather than the light, and everything is fine. You don't need to use MUI or anything.
Yeah.
So thank you for your updates, Terence. Do you have anything else to share? I hope not. So then next update is from Amit. Yeah, Lee, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, and Ian will interrupt if he wanted to say something. So I just wanted to make sure he had a chance if he would.
Yeah, I'm just gaining context with if we had a theme provider. It seems like we do. So yeah, I can take a look a little bit more and get up to speed there.
Perfect.
Yeah. My update, we have the registry page on the Meshery UI. In that, we saw a model details, component details, relation detail. But the problem was we are showing a limited details for the model and component. So I added the JSON data that we got from the server. about this model and component, so user can see the data that we are not showing here. So
Yeah, it looks good, but if you see over there, if for the components also it says 0 when you click on AMD GPU.
like, oh, that issue was the different. The component becomes 0 was from the backend we got on the null data on the field. So this is the issue that we got a component as a 0 here.
Okay, then I'll take a look and update that.
Thank you for your update, Samit. So let's wait for 5 to 6 seconds if anyone has any feedback.
I am planning to add one switch here that like so in detail. So if user enable the switch, then and only we are showing this data. Does that make sense?
Or maybe if you just put it inside an accordion, that would have like the actual thing, and it would be the code would be inside an accordion.
Okay.
Do you have any other things to share, Amit?
No.
All right, so I'll start sharing my screen. Thank you, Amit. Next up, Avid, you're up next.
Let me share. So we are on fixing some of the issues that we were facing while we were trying to load the organization. So the issue was that we were not following a proper sequence of mounting the components while we were not have properly loaded the session. So whenever we mount the app, we need some context for the which organization the user is in, and then based on that organization, we try to fetch the user's keys so to know what permissions the user has to perform the actions on the UI. So we need to fetch those keys. So because we were not having a proper sequence of mounting and performing all of those actions, sometimes we were trying to fetch keys and roles and other contextual data while the organization was not fetched, and we were making these 404 requests to the server without a proper organization, and we're having some errors. And also based on that, because we were not loading the keys properly, sometimes we would get those splash screens of that where we're going to some page, we would get the splash screen of saying like you don't have keys, and after some time it would come back and we would have the access and this UI would show up. And also sometimes it won't show up because the keys were loaded up, but because we had already loaded the screen, then we couldn't switch back. So you were always staying in that you don't have keys and you would need to switch organizations just to get into that loading phase. So in this PR, I made sure that we do that in proper sequence. So we first load the organization, and till that we don't load any other components, and we don't try to make the requests for roles and other keys and all other APIs, and we don't load those components. And till that we show like the loading screen, and after that we start loading these components. This fixes all of the three issues that we're having, like making requests for keys and other APIs without the organization, and also the splash screen that would sometimes get off, like you don't have keys, because we want to load the rest of components till the organization and keys are loaded. We don't get that issue. And also the third one is also fixed by this. So you can see right now, as I have loaded the page, there shouldn't be any 400 requests to any of those APIs, because we only make requests whenever we have the actual data for organizations. There was actually like how we fetch some of the, like we have created these custom hooks, and inside these hooks we try to load the abilities and do like some side effects which was causing some issues. So I removed those also. There's still some improvement that can be made in the flow, but for now this helps and fix all major issues. Any questions?
Thank you for your updates, Abid. Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Abid, can I,
Thanks.
at the risk of bastardizing what you had just said and making you repeat part of it, I hope not, is to clarify, did you just get rid of a chicken before the egg problem in which permissions were being requested, but they weren't available? And
Yeah.
okay, wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it fixed that issue while we're fetching permissions and roles before organizations.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, since, well, I'll do it again. I'll like for Renato and Ian, who are here, super pleased that those two gentlemen are here, plus the other 20 something, 25 people that are on the call. But I figured that at least I'm aware that Ian is skilled, adept at React and Playwright and a number of other things, and he's here to dig into some of the back end as well and all that stuff. Anyway, I can't help but call out that one of the, well, I don't know that it's special, but like one of the things about Meshery as a project is, well, that it's extensible. It's a platform that does a number of things, and it leaves intentionally. We make consideration for extensibility in the various features and just its architecture. One of those areas of extensibility is, and Abid, maybe people would like to hear your voice, not mine, the area of extensibility of permissions with respect to the UI. Do you want to, or Abid or someone else, does anybody else want to explain our use of Castle, that library, and just sort of briefly point it out?
Yeah, sure. So Meshery tries to be extensible in many of ways. Like the server is extensible. The identity providers are extendable in the same way. We are also extendable in terms of permissions, like how on both server and when we are showing on UI, we try to be extensible. Like we don't hard code any of the stuff, but the user can access it. All that is driven through the permission that the user has, which can be given by the remote provider or any of the providers that you are using, either local provider or the remote provider gives users a bunch of permissions that they can do on. Based on those permissions which the provider gives us, we selectively can show elements on the UI or allow people to perform certain actions on the UI. So to drive those permissions on UI, we use a library called Castle, which is a pretty simple library that takes those permissions and allows us to make some queries based on those. Like if we tell Castle to like whether this user has ability to perform an action, it will give us a response back like whether allow or deny. So in the same way, like for all of the actions in Castle, we call them abilities, but it's just like from those permissions we drive those abilities and we can selectively show components on the UI. So for those permissions, they are for us, we call them keys. So users are assigned a bunch of keys, and those keys drive the permission that the user can do on UI. So I'm using those keys, we can then selectively show elements, hide elements, and also perform selectively change the behavior of the app. So any questions on that?
If you guys can't tell, by the way, there are any number of old timers here who are just drooling at the chance to explain any aspect of Meshery to anybody that's interested. So like, please be selfish, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, let's digress. Like, let's like dig into an area of interest for folks. So, I mean, like, please don't be shy with commandeering the agenda. It's okay. As you guys think about being selfish for a moment and asking questions, I dropped a link inside of the Zoom chat. It's to the same thing that Abid was just explaining. And I kind of thought Rudrox was going to jump in and explain it, or at least point out this page. Can we just very briefly pull up that page, Vivek, if you don't mind, or whoever's sharing? So here's the Meshery docs again. Here's the reference section in Meshery docs again. We talked about error codes earlier. Now we're talking about permission keys. And yeah, and I won't repeat everything that Abid said, but just this is something to digest and familiarize with.
Thank you, Lee. So if you want to check it out, you can find the link in chat. And with that, let me make this call to volunteers. So last Friday, we had our September event where we introduced all to various areas in the projects that they can contribute to, whether they are starting out or are student contributors. So if you couldn't attend the event and now want to catch up, I'll be sharing this link where you can find recorded session of that live event. Can also find out various open issues that we have. And if you want to take a look, you can also see the presentation deck that we had. So talking about open issues, this link will take you through that. And as you can see, we have tons of them. So yeah, feel free to comment on any one of them and you will be assigned. And we'll also get this Hacktoberfest badge from Layer 5. So yeah, if you want to take a look at these, a link to this page will be in chat. So coming up on our next item, and that is from Ankita on MEY V5. So Ankita, do you mind sharing your updates?
Sure. Just a moment. And my screen should be up. So this is an ongoing endeavor that we have where we are migrating the Meshery pages that are on MUI v4 to MUI v5. And we are also using system components rather than the material UI components that we get in place. My update for today would be regarding the extensions page that we have up on Meshery. And I've been pretty much successful in updating or migrating it to MUI v5. We are now also using system components. This, if I head up to preferences and change the theming, you can notice that this is theming compatible as well. So this PR is up, it's open, and probably Sudhanshu or Antoinette could go through it and share the review and feedback. And accordingly, we can go ahead with this. That's all that I had from my end for this update. There is a call for volunteers that we have on another issue, which deals with migrating another component that we have up there. So anyone who is familiar with UI and wants to contribute in this area, we are migrating a couple of class-based components to functional components. If you would be interested, feel free to add a comment and we'll assign this issue to you. And I guess that's all from my end. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ankita. So I heard Ankita made this call for volunteers. If you want to work in this area, there are a couple of open issues. So once again, find them on Meshery repository. And in fact, Ankita, do you mind sharing the links to those issues in chat?
Sure. I'll add all the open issues that we have in the migration area.
Thanks for your update, Ankita. Next up, Slok, we have this item from you.
Yeah. I think my screen is visible. So Meshery has a number of relationship. It has a way of detecting what kind of relationship does each component have. So whenever you drop a component on the canvas, you'll see that it already has a namespace around it, and then it carry forwards with the evaluation and other stuff. So a relationship is one of the core features that Meshery has, and currently there was only one way of generating the relationship. So whenever you have to generate whenever you have a new relationship, you'll have to go to the Meshery repo, and inside the server mesh model folder, you'll need to create a PR for that particular relationship, and then that relationship would be reviewed and then it would be merged. Since this flow was quite it was not efficient enough. So we were thinking of migrating it to like what we do for the models and components that we generated directly from the sheet itself. So this is the integration sheet. So we had a sheet for relationship, and I was just enhancing the registry generate command to support this functionality of getting the relationship from sheet and writing it to the file system of whichever model it belongs to. So the PR is still not up. I was just testing the thing. So currently I'm able to generate the relationships, and I just entered the Kubernetes relationship, and then I was able to generate all of those relationship apart from a single relationship. So I'm just figuring it out, and then I'll open a PR for uh, the generation of relationship from spreadsheet. So yes.
Thank you, Shlok, for your update. So if anyone has any question or any feedback, you can sound off. We'll wait for 10 seconds.
Hi, I wanted to ask one question regarding Meshery errors. So
Yeah.
when I'm creating a new error in the Meshkit, like how would I know if that error hasn't been already covered and I'm just recreating it under a different name?
So whenever you'll try to create a new error, if you go by the naming culture, so let's say it is an error regarding a read file that you're using a os.stat library. And so what you'll do is, I'll go here, I'll search os.stat over here, and I'll see, okay, wherever this particular function has been called, is there a Meshkit error that's been used over here? So currently it's not. So I think this function, while logging, it might do meshkit error afterwards. But yeah, so you'll have a meshkit error defined over here. So you can check, okay, so this function that I'm trying to use has a predefined meshkit function. So you can reuse that always. And if it doesn't, so you can always create a new one inside that particular directory. So for this, I'll go and create a error over here, and then I'll reference it inside the registry. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you for your updates, Shlok. In the end, we have this update from Rudraksh. So Rudraksh, do you mind going next and giving your update? Looks like we have lost Rudraksh on the call. So that would be it for all the agenda items that we had for today. We still have 4 minutes on the call. And so if anyone has any items that they want to share on Meshery/Meshery, you can do now. So we'll wait for 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms as we go to wrap up today, there's well, we have a weekly newcomers meeting on Thursdays that Vivek is no doubt going to be telling people about. But I was going to make a proposal for tomorrow's newcomers meeting. So generally, every week on Thursdays, I think it starts 1 hour before the development meeting starts, right? We have the newcomers. Okay. So the newcomers meeting tomorrow starts 1 hour earlier than this meeting starts. Normally, I think it's a jam-packed hour full of, orienting people to the projects and some of the technologies and some of the maintainers and just the activities that are going on, and it's good. And part of the goal of that meeting is to help people get their first PR in. Literally within the meeting, people get their first PR in, so that's wonderful. Just to break that ice and get the juices flowing, so to speak. There's something that we've done in the past with those meetings. It's a lot of the same agenda week to week, and that agenda is well written and it fits into about 30 minutes. It can, and you can take longer and explain more things. But if we took the first 30 minutes and explain, introduce people, oriented them, in the second half, we've done this in the past, we'll have just a specific topic on, hey, Meshery UI, and here's how you build it and something. And anyway, and the topics have been varied, and it's a great opportunity for anybody in the community to go grab the stage and present and share what they know. Certainly sharing like that reinforces your own learning. I was going to suggest that maybe tomorrow, well, I don't mean to embarrass Ian for calling him out for like the third time on the call, but I guess he's just on my mind. He had raised a question in the support channel, and it was about getting his environment set up and maybe working on a couple of playwright tests or end-to-end tests. And part of getting it set up was ensuring that that communication is there from a network perspective, and that an authentication is able to happen and all that. And it's a little bit involved. I was going to suggest that maybe the back half of that meeting, like Jaren's, hopefully not me, but some other people could walk through what that setup looks like, and actually use Ian's environment as an example. So we would both be, helping everybody get comfortable with a playwright setup, with a programmatic setup of Meshery and starting to do end-to-end testing, but also at the same time address challenges specific to Ian's environment. Because guess what? His challenges aren't all that specific to his environment. Like most of us will run into those. I think he has a Minikube running, and there's always a networking challenge there if you're doing things outside the cluster versus inside. And so would that be okay with everybody? Or do we have a better topic we could use for that? It seems like he took the time to ask a well-phrased question, and he's not a slouch. Like, it's not like he didn't do his homework. He did his homework, and he's hitting a wall. So for my part, I'm going to find a couple of folks to help with that back half and help make sure that and so, yeah, good. Well, good. We fully embarrassed Ian at this point. It was good. Mission accomplished. Just wait for tomorrow when we have the newcomers meeting. We'll just make it even worse. But that's great. So like at the same time, I want to thank Ian for like implicitly volunteering his environment to be used as like the example for helping everybody else get up and going. So that'll be really neat. We want to make sure we get that one recorded because it'll be referenced. Vivek, and we do or don't have the build and release. We do not have the build and release meeting this week. Okay, so that's not.
We don't.
Other
Thank
people.
you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If other people, I've got like I see Chris is on the call, and I'm so pleased that he's back. So often people take a break and like, hey, go on vacation or whatnot, and then they have a hard time coming back in, but he's back. And we have one thing that I owe Chris, and it's good to say out loud, not only to hold myself accountable, but also to encourage others, is the Meshery has these models. It has like, a couple hundred or so integrations, these models that describe the infrastructure it manages. Some of the magic sprinkles inside of Meshery that end up being pretty neat and really helpful to people is when Meshery understands not just how to configure the specific properties of infrastructure that it manages, but even more than that, when Meshery understands how it is that one infrastructure component, maybe an Nginx web server, relates to I don't know, a contour ingress controller, or like relates to another piece of infrastructure. What's that relationship like? Does one encapsulate the other one? Is there a line between them, or like what, however it's visualized, that doesn't necessarily matter, but like that's some special sauce right there. And that really helps people comprehend. The smarter that Meshery is in that regard, the more of an aha moment that people have when they load up their designs, they load up their infrastructure. It's really helpful. We only have so many, Meshery only has so many of those relationships defined. It needs lots and lots more. A lot of us come to meetings like this, not being comfortable programming in any way, not even wanting to be comfortable. Like, it's not what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to do, well, for lack of a better term, you want to do some DevOps stuff, or you want to do sysadmin stuff or what have you. And you want to put your hands on infrastructure and configure it and make it run well and highly performant and highly available and scalable and all these, all these itables. Well, it's in the defining of these relationships, like should an Nginx web server have a network line between it and an ingress control, a load balancer? Or does it do its own? Or would it make sense to have two of them in a row? Well, if you're into DevOps, like, you're desperately needed. Like, it's that domain expertise that's needed to be able to say, yeah, I know what Prometheus is. And based on these various components, this is how they relate to one another, or this is how they relate to other. And so seeing Chris reminded me of this, because one of the things that happens or that we need to do a better job of happening inside of the CNCF tag network, the CNCF Technical Advisory Group network, are those discussions. And like, is a taxonomy or is a central reference for understanding how elements within the Kubernetes ecosystem relate to one another. Really useful for many projects in different ways, and certainly for Meshery as it goes to comprehend that and visualize those things. So for my part, I guess the point of what I'm saying is, if that intrigues, let's talk more about Meshery relationships. Also, Lee, you need to help facilitate that. So.
Yeah, I can join the tag network meeting tomorrow as well if discussion happens there.
Great, perfect. And now this is embarrassing because we have to go double check the calendar. This calendar might be, I think it's tomorrow, but it might be on the 10th. The problem is it's like the first and third Thursday of, it's not every other 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, this is why I have to go. But yes, please, yes, let's do it.
Cool.
Well, thanks for letting me interrupt, Vivek. Did anybody else have an announcement or?
So thank you, Lee. And just in case you want to subscribe to community calendar, that you should, in case you want to have all updates. The link for it is in chat. And so with that, thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you next Wednesday. Till then, bye.